This week on Game, we catch you up on the latest gossip circulating in the gaming world. The Fragate plays David and Goliath with some unusually dressed deities. It's free-to-play fever in our weekly dose of digital heaven. And we take a closer look at the mystery that is abandonware. All that and more only on Game. Hello and welcome to another fantabulous episode of Game. I hope you're all stoked for another packed to the brim edition. Firstly though, I want to say a huge thank you to everyone that's been giving their feedback on our Facebook page. That's facebook.com/ESSGame, because we only strive to make the show better for you, so keep it coming. And now we get down to business. Let's start it all off with a glimpse at the goings-on in the digital world this week. It's time for the headlines.
Max, work that only a guy like you can do.
I ain't a cop no more.
As we begin with some release date woes, Rockstar has announced that Max Payne 3 has suffered a delay and its release has been pushed back by 2 months. Originally set to hit our shores in March, gamers will now have to wait till May to see Max in all his aging glory. Also in, game publishers Take-Two, Rockstar's corporate overlords, have also decided to push back the release of one of their biggest games. Originally slated for release this year, the first-person reimagination of XCOM is now looking to hit the shelves sometime in the year 2013. But good news is that while the FPS remake is being postponed, the new XCOM strategy game is still on schedule, expected in the third quarter of this year. Excited? So are we. But that's not the only thing to look forward to this year. Razer, you know, the gaming keyboard and mouse fellas, yep, they've come up with a new innovative toy that might just change the way we play our games. Chastising other PC manufacturers on their failure to innovate, this is Razer's answer for on-the-go gaming. Dubbed Project Fiona, the 10-inch tablet will run Windows 8 and will be powered by an Intel Core i7 processor. Pretty spiffy. Coming with a pair of specially designed controllers and some advanced multi-touch screen capabilities, imagine Skyrim on a bus. Fosro bus! The possibilities are endless. Also in the headlines, Dark Souls, the medieval action RPG, has been at the top of the gaming charts ever since it first came out last year. But there's one problem. It's not available on the PC, but that may soon be about to change. An online petition to bring the game to the PC has caught the attention of publishers Namco Bandai after more than 77,000 people took to the interwebs to sign it. So, if you'd like a chance for a little D-Souls on your PC, seems like Namco Bandai are listening. So what's the harm in asking? Head online and sign the petition at the address below. From Dark Souls to the bright lights of Asura's Wrath, here's Frags with the lowdown.
Hey gamers, Fraggy back in the gaming den this week. Now, it's kind of a lull period as far as game releases go, so this week I thought I'd check in with a couple of newly released demos of games that are soon coming out, starting with Capcom's Asura's Wrath. Now, if you haven't heard of this title, Asura's Wrath is an action game filled to the brim with over-the-top martial arts fighting, blended with a healthy serving of Japanese mythology. And where is all this set? In space. Yep, the demo features 2 levels from the full game. The first, Hollow Victory, sees you up against a giant enemy known as Wyzen, and features mostly quick-time event battles, showing off the game's extremely cinematic style. Firing projectiles is done via a locking system. Move your thumbstick around to target and fire away, keeping the action fast and flowing. But the demo really started to come together in the second stage, called The Final Lesson. Taking place where else but on the moon, this level really shows off some of the game's combat mechanics, with a boss battle against one of Asura's former mentors. And dodging light beams to try to make it closer to your opponent? Fun! Now, from this early playthrough, my initial thoughts were pretty positive. Just don't fill the thing with too many quick-time button-mashing segments, and we should be golden. An impressive showcase of over-the-top action, Asura's Wrath is set to hit stores in February. But you know what? You can get your hands on the demo right now.
Sephiroth's Wrath is set to emerge late February, but there's no harm in dipping your finger in the honeypot and trying it out before it hits the shelves for real. For more digital delights, we turn our attention to the heavens. Although prepare yourself for something a little dark, a little twisted. And I'd advise you to have your thinking caps on. They're free, they're fun. This is Digital Heaven.
Time to get enraptured as we bring to light some choice picks in the world of free online games. In this week's edition of Digital Heaven, we turn back the clocks in a flash-based mystery game all about uncovering the truth behind a grisly murder. In REW, the game starts off with you standing over the body of your victim, a lonely old woman living in the woods. And the way the game works is by transporting you back in time as little by little you reconstruct the events which led to her demise. Working a little like that movie Memento, mixed with an episode of Angry Beaver Mouse, it's up to you to work out just what happened in this backwards mystery whodunit. A grim tale presented with some fittingly dark artwork and a soundtrack to match. Murderous mouse or righteous rodent? Find out the truth at the address below. Moving on, meet Midas, known to his friends as Crazy Legs and the Man with the Golden Touch. His Royal Highness suffers from one small problem that he just can't seem to shake. You see, everything he touches turns to gold, and while that may not be such a bad thing in this current financial crisis, it's not exactly the best recipe for a little cuddle action. So before the two of you can get jiggy, our friend Midas has to wash himself by visiting the river of Pactolus, also known by its other name, the Blue Blocks. Now, the real challenge here comes in conjuring a path to the river, which also allows you to get back to your girlfriend, a task which can get pretty tricky, especially when the blocks start falling. Built around the theme of being alone, this touching indie offering beautifully depicts how sometimes being alone can be so much more than just physical separation. Minimalist gaming at its best. A blocky brush up on Greek mythology. Help Midas at the link below.
Some excellent titles this week. Now remember, if you didn't catch those links, they'll be up on Facebook and Twitter real soon. It's time for us to take a timeout, but there's still plenty to come as Frags goes all square with a brand new demo. We'll also bring you the best fun you can have on the go. And we check out the latest installment of Resident Evil. Stay with us on Game.
In a world left in ruin, where life still exists, people gather in groups in the hopes of surviving the oncoming onslaught.
These are the latest shots from Armored Core 5. As you can see, plenty of CG magic and wall-bouncing mechs in this first cinematic look at the game. No news yet on an American release, but the Japanese version is set to hit shelves sometime next month. In the meantime, enjoy this cinematic trailer, and of course we'll have more info on this title as it gets closer to release. Right then, back to Frags we go, because I hear he's gone a little bit square. Interacting with giant squares in a slightly clinical looking environment sounds like play school or a mental asylum. Let's take a quick look at the quick understanding of block extrusion. No wonder they shortened it to cube.
Thanks, Kelly. Yup, it's time to get all sciencey as we check in with the recently released demo for a puzzle platformer called Cube. Definitely one of the more visually arresting indie games that we've seen. This one bears some resemblance to games like Portal, with a visual style akin to something like Mirror's Edge. A game all about manipulating color-coded cubes to help you along your way. Rearrange your surroundings as you make it through one room after another, each just that much more difficult than the last. Now for the rules. Red cubes shift one space in any direction. Blue cubes act like springs, and yellow cubes act like stairs to climb. It's all a little tough to explain, but it's really the clever manipulation of these rules which really makes Cube a lot of fun to play. Promising experimentation and discovery as players progress through an ever-evolving series of cube puzzles. Test your logic, physics, and platforming in the free demo now. Definitely want to check out. Now, of course, later on in the show, I'll be back with a couple more demo roundups. But what about our gamers on the go? Well, showcasing the best mobile downloads, it's our Pixel Princess, Kelly, with App Attack.
Thanks, Frags. In our segment of the best titles for gamers on the go, how about we begin with a little nostalgia with everyone's favorite hedgehog in a hurry. Yep, the iconic blue spikes and red kicks are making their way onto iPods and iPhones everywhere with the release of Sonic CD. Widely regarded by old school fans as the best two-dimensional Sonic game ever released, the 1993 original came out for the short-lived Sega CD add-on, but due to poor sales, many gamers never got to experience Sonic in all his 16-bit glory. Lucky though, his outing on Apple's touch devices is a pure joy to play, with smooth responsive controls as well as all the graphical bells and whistles from the CD original. One of the least ported and most underplayed games in the world of retro classics, Sonic CD is available for all Apple Touch devices. Moving on, if you've ever owned a Nintendo DS or Game Boy, you're no doubt familiar with a little series called Pokémon. Now, while the iPhone and iPods are great at games, catching and trading cute, fluffy creatures has always been somewhat Nintendo's domain. Well, not anymore. Enter Mino Monsters, an app which can neatly be summarized as Pokémon for the iPhone. This game features all the monster-on-monster action that you loved from Nintendo's original, featuring a multitude of fantastical creatures which look just different enough from Nintendo's to evade copyright infringement. If you're looking for a worthwhile replacement for your monster hoarding on the go, Mino Monsters is available for both the iPhone and the iPod Touch right now. And finally, to end off our segment on the best apps for download, we check in with one of the most interesting portable releases in a while. A portable version of Minecraft, the best-selling game all about building and exploring, has just been released for both Apple and Android smartphones. Taking the world by storm, the PC version is today one of gaming's most recent success stories. Developed originally by just one person, Minecraft has gone on to sell a crazy 20 million copies, wowing gamers for its creative freedom and ever-evolving gameplay. Now, because it's still early days, the Pocket Edition of Minecraft only features some of the game's more basic elements. But hey, you still get the ability to save as well as invite friends into your world, so all in all, pretty cool.
All right, another breather required. We'll be back in 2, but don't go anywhere. No, this isn't Ace, but we will bring you the latest Grand Slam action and what happens when you put old games on a new platform. All that and more on Game.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Game. Fraggy here as we sift through the last of this week's demos. It's one for all the racket heads as we check out EA's Grand Slam Tennis 2. Hoping to enter the playing space long held by the current kings of the court, Topspin and Virtua Tennis, EA's latest sporting entry looks to change things up by offering players an all-new control system. Firing up the demo, you may be disappointed to find that it's actually pretty light on content, coming with only 2 playable characters, Novak Djokovic and Rafael Nadal, but gives you just about enough of the feel to the game. Now, one of the things I loved about the game was the presentation. Grand Slam Tennis 2 is the first tennis game to provide commentary, and the play-by-play accounts are all voiced by legends John McEnroe and Pat Cow.
Nice passing shot, mate. All right, John, discuss the pros and cons of hitting your shots deep.
Well, there's not too many cons, first of all. I mean, perhaps you won't be in position to volley if you're moving into net because players hit it so fast.
However, I'm not that much of a fan of their new Total Control racket system, in which you use the right analog stick to control the type and speed of your swing. The animations are also a little choppy, with players unrealistically locking into their shot animations. But with the Australian Open well underway and Djokovic looking to defend his title against Nadal, this free demo may offer a pretty fun way to settle the score.
You're watching the first shots of Capcom's new Resident Evil game, Operation Raccoon City. Featuring 2 factions, the Umbrella Security Service, mask-wearing agents tasked with destroying evidence of the company's illegal activities, and the Spec Ops, basically government types looking to find out the cause of the outbreak. This all-new addition to the Resident Evil franchise sure looks to pack a punch. Now, the interesting thing to note is that unlike previous RE games, Operation Raccoon City will allow players to run and shoot simultaneously, a first for the series and should translate to some fast-flowing gameplay. Think Left 4 Dead. An interesting addition to the series for sure. Look out for Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City in March this year.
Okay, so if you've been gaming a while, you've no doubt amassed an impressive collection of titles which have pretty much defined your gaming childhood. But what happens when you decide you want to revisit those classics, only to find out that the company that made them is no longer putting them out? Well, stick around because in our Inside piece this week, we're taking a closer look at the oft-overlooked video game subculture as we go inside Abandonware.
Remember DOS games? Well, so do we. If you're past a certain age, you'll no doubt fondly remember the days when games came on floppy disks, a mouse was a small white rodent, and VGA colour monitors were still something to brag about. Often referred to as the golden age of PC gaming, the 90s were a great time to be a gamer with so many excellent genre-defining titles being released. But when it comes to playing some of these classics again, say you want to educate your kid about what Blizzard was up to before World of Warcraft, or maybe you just want to wind down with an old-time favourite. Well, let's say that it's not as easy as just heading to the classics section of your local bookshop to pick up an old paperback. Many of these awesome titles you simply can't get anymore, because in the fast-moving world of video games, it's pretty tricky to find a title that's even 5 years old, let alone something released 10 or even 20 years ago. Enter abandonware, a term which simply means software which is no longer being sold or supported. Brought together by a shared vision of archiving many of yesterday's forgotten gaming gems, abandonware sites like Abandonia.com host copies of these long-forgotten classics, giving access to a whole new generation of gamers who might have never even heard of these games. From the golden age of Pong and Pac-Man right up to the early days of the first real-time strategy games, with awesome titles like the original Command and Conquer and Dune 2. Now, because these games were designed to run on older PCs, which had about the processing speed of today's modern refrigerators, getting them to run does require some work. First off, you've got to get a little freeware program called DOSBox, which basically allows you to slow down your modern Windows machines so that the games run like they're supposed to. Then, of course, you'll have to get the games, and that's where sites like Abandonia.com and homeoftheunderdogs.net come in handy. Now, do note, just because a game is old, it's not automatically considered abandonware. In fact, most of the respected sites actually remove any links to downloads once any of these classics are made readily available by resellers, and even provide a link so you can buy the title online. Also, another important thing to note is that technically, abandonware is, in the eyes of draconian copyright laws, illegal. Because while you can't go out and buy these titles or find them on sale anywhere online, the original copyrights are still held by those big companies. But for now, though, it seems as though things are looking positive, with the movement slowly gaining acceptance among the gaming community. A time capsule filled with hundreds upon hundreds of awesome games, and a great resource to learn about the history of your favourite hobby. It's time to get retro.
All of us are prone to making mistakes, but there's just something about a game going wonky that is just downright hilarious. From fondling footballers to outrageous outtakes, it's time to take another look at when games go bad.
The perfect setting for the biggest swimming meet of the year. We have a packed stadium tonight with the crowd certainly making themselves heard.
From the diving board right into the $3.99 bargain basement rack. What exactly went wrong with Michael Phelps' motion-controlled swimming game, Push the Limit? Nice environments, check. Graphics and sound, check. Superstar sports personality, check. But then this. When Microsoft first announced their full-body 3D controller and the realism it would bring to gaming, this isn't exactly what I had in mind. Featuring a room full of grinning teenagers and, of course, a slightly confused-looking Michael Phelps, take part in exciting events like crowd hyping and wall touching. No way. Now, we're not looking at this one to break any sales records here in Asia, but hey, looks like the Americans are having fun. And while Phelps laughs all the way to the bank, we get another example of when games go bad.
And the crowd are loving this.
Yeah, that one, not so hot. I foresee plenty of bruised fingers and broken ceiling fans. And with that, we've come to the end of this week's show. Remember, if you want to stay in touch with us, facebook.com/ESSGame is the best place to do that. We try and reply as many of you as we can. Twitter is also another option, so get following at twitter.com/ESSGame. And if you've missed out on some of our past episodes, fret not, ESPNStart.com/game has our backdated eps, so go check it out. Also, as a special treat, tune in next week where we'll be taking an exclusive first look at Darkness 2 in our hands-on preview. It'll be the first showcase of the game running in Asia. Oh yes, you don't want to miss that. It's right here on Game, same time, same place. I'll see you next week.